Ladies, what if you follow the traditional life trajectory? You go to college, you get married, you have children, you have a successful career, and then you decide to change everything. You are able to reinvent yourself and live your best life as never before. Welcome to the Goddess Power Show. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I'm with my dear friend Liz Ezzo. We have known each other for a very long time, since the bus stop when we were in about eighth grade. And Liz epitomizes all of that. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to talk to everybody.
Yes, I'm thrilled. So we reconnected recently a couple years ago, and Liz has shared with me her life story of, all that she's accomplished and that she's just in an entirely new phase and loving life as never before. So, Liz,
Yeah,
are you ready to dive into all that and
I
share
am.
with all of our viewers and listeners how they too can step into a whole new self and life?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to.
Okay. All
Thanks.
right. Well, just give us an overview of that traditional trajectory that you followed.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth, looking back, I was thinking about this podcast and everything, and I realized that I really just played everything really safe in my life, really safe. Um, I grew up with a single mom and we had struggles growing up. And I saw how hard it was on my mom to raise two girls on her own. And, she always taught us, hey, you girls, you need to be able to support yourselves. You need to be able to take care of your family. You have to be able to do it all. Don't rely on someone to take care of you. You've got to do this for yourself. And so from when I was very young, I was kind of setting the path, the plan. I've got to get good grades. I've got to take these classes in high school. I've got to get a job, pick a major that's going to get me a good job when I graduate because I've got to support myself. And if I want to have a family, I've got to be able to support that family as well and not be relying on someone else to do that. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to do the right things, to make things what I thought was building a good life, like a responsible life, right? Um, and so I got married at 24 years old, um, have three kids, had our first daughter when I was 29, and my husband became a stay-at-home father. And so then everything really was on my shoulders, right? Financially. And, moms, I think we feel a different level of responsibility for our children emotionally than maybe the guys do. So I felt like I kind of had to do it all. I had to be like a rock star mom and a rock star professional and everything. And it was just a lot. It was really a lot. So I was married for 32 years and
Oh my
recently,
gosh.
yeah, a long time,
Oh my
really long time.
God.
And got
That's a
divorced.
long time.
Yeah, yeah, really long time. And got divorced just this past January. So
Oh, it was that recent. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
um, it really uh, things started to fracture in our marriage, quite some time ago, but I think I just was trying to hold everything together and play it safe, continue to play it safe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
something happened in our marriage that made it so I've always set up rules for myself in life. I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits
Of
by
course.
James Clear. Yeah. So I've always been that kind of person. Like I'd set up these habits and these rules for my life and they're like non-negotiables for me, right? And something happened that was a non-negotiable for me and I was like, well, the marriage is over. Like it was just an instant. And it was something that needed to happen for a very long time. It really needed to happen, but because it kind of broke one of those those rules in my life, it forced me out of my safe zone and into, okay, I'm doing this. I've got to make these choices. And, it made me realize also how difficult it must be for women that, I mean, I was the breadwinner for our family. I was empowered. I was a professional. I had everything under control, but I still, that safety pulled me in so strongly that I just couldn't leave. I just
Hmm.
couldn't. And I wouldn't have had one of these little rules in my life not been broken, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I I'm really thankful for that because it launched me into this life that's so much better than I ever could have
Yes.
imagined.
Yes, 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 yes. So that's all about goddess power, turning your pain into power, because my whole goddess mission started in a horrible moment of my divorce a very long time ago. And it just launched me into becoming who I am, loving life in my most empowered self. And Liz, you're there. But before we go forward, can you just talk about the safe zone, which is like so toxic and is so many women just stay stuck there forever and they never escape it. So what does it look like and feel like?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. It's funny. I think that um, we feel comfortable and safe in some things. Like, okay, my career, the company I worked for, fabulous company, and I really I was so fortunate to have the ability to lead people and to work on behalf of patients and to do some really cool things in my career. But there was a point at which I wasn't contributing. Like, I could do so much more for this world than that. I'd kind of completed what I needed to complete there, but because it's a very good company, I was earning a good living. Um, I worked with great people. It was all very safe, right?
Mm.
And so it's
Hmm.
very difficult to leave something like that.
Oh
Like, you
yeah.
look at that and you go, well, all my bills are paid. My
Mm.
I can do everything I need to do. My kids are going to college and I'm able to pay for their college and I'm able to do what I need to do as a mother. Um, and I like the people I work with and I'm accomplishing a good mission, but I'm not like the things I could contribute were like out here and I was living like way back here.
Ooh, wow. Okay. And also, you were still in the town where we went to high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, I was.
Okay.
So right out of college, I mean, this kind of tells you something about who I could be as a person. I was interviewing, and this hiring manager said, "Where would you like to live? We have all these different options." And he segmented it into the Southwest, the West Coast, and I said that I was so naive. I said, the Southwest. And he said, oh, so Texas. And I said, oh, no, like California. And he said, you mean the West Coast? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I mean, the West Coast. He said, great,
Uh-huh.
we have positions out in LA. And I moved to LA having never been there before.
Ooh, I
Um,
love it.
because I was like, why not? I'm 22 years old and that sounds really cool. And
Uh-huh.
so that was a bold choice, right? And as I got older, I started to reel things in and I stopped making those bold choices.
Oh.
I
And at what point in that did you get married?
so a year and a half later from
Oh, and
so
that brought you back to Michigan though?
well, okay. I lived in LA and my husband moved out to LA to be with me, and then his mother had a massive heart attack.
Oh.
And we were having a hard time scraping together the money to fly back and forth. And there was a position that opened up in Chicago. So we moved to Chicago and we lived
Mm.
there for 20 years, actually.
Oh,
And then eventually we moved to Michigan, really for our kids, so our kids could know their grandparents and their cousins better and stuff. So,
nice. Okay, that's all beautiful. That's wonderful for kids. But then the kids grow up and
right.
then you're you're able to have the freedom to make decisions, and you made that decision after the non-negotiable occurred and you got a divorce. And then what, Liz? Was that scary for you, or were you just excited, or how did that feel?
Yeah. Well, I have a little story. I was kind of panicking because this was happening like really quickly. Um, from when we made the decision to get a divorce, we put the house on the market like days later, and the housing market has just blown up, right? And our house, I knew our house was going to sell. So our house went on the market and it sold. And I was like, I don't even know where I'm going. Like, what's happening here? I've got a whole house full of stuff. And what am I going to do with a 5 bedroom house with all the things you collect, right? And where am I going to go? And what am I going to do? And I was panicking. So I had seen this apartment building in downtown East Lansing that it was, kind of an over 55, supposed to, it's right downtown, great location. And I went to see it a few times. It's a beautiful place, beautiful, beautiful place. They had everything in it that I wanted. Um, and I called my son, my youngest, and I said, hey, so I think I've got it figured out. I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move into this apartment in downtown East Lansing. It's in this over 55 building. And he goes, Mom, what's the average age of the person in that building? And I was like, 72. And he goes, Mom, um, I'm sorry, but you don't have that much good time left in your life. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, I love your son. Oh my
And,
God.
and I was like, well, it's this beautiful apartment and it's like walking distance to everything and whatever. He goes, why aren't you going on an adventure? He's like, you're an adventurer. You're the one that like jumps into Lake Superior with me off of Black Rocks. You're the one that does crazy things. Like, what are you doing moving into an apartment in the town that dad lives in with all of dad's family? And you need to be going on an adventure. That's who you are. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, yes.
So, so anyway, him asking me and saying, you don't have that many good years left, Mom. I was like, I go,
That's
yes, I
chilling.
do. What are you talking about? I'm like, I go to the gym every day. I'm really active. He goes, yeah, but you really don't. He goes, how many? And I go, 30. He's like, well, that would make you 87 in 30 years. He goes, but I'll give you that. Okay, so it's 30. So 1/30th of your remaining life, you're going to go and live in an apartment that the average age is 72 years old in that building. And you're going to be surrounded by dad's family and all the memories of us growing up. And we live all over the country. Like you've raised us to go and do crazy things, yet you're going to stay in East Lansing. Like, what are you doing? So,
Wow.
anyway, that's what kind of shocked
Liz,
me
that is so
regarding.
cool. Like our kids are a mirror of us. Like we put all this in, pour all this stuff into them, and then they speak it back to us, and it's like a smack. Like wake up. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. And then you and I also, our energy is so young and fun and like vivacious and adventurous. And so I think the numbers, they don't really apply because we're I mean, I know I don't feel any kind of number. I feel like I'm 35 still, and my body thinks I am too. So,
That's what that is so true. That's so true. It's fun.
yes.
I started doing, I had to get a new gym when I moved, and I started doing CrossFit, which I went there and I was like, this shit is crazy. But it is so fun because they introduce you to things like gymnastics. So I was a gymnast when I was a kid, but they're teaching us to do like stuff in handstands and crazy,
Ooh,
crazy stuff like when I was a little kid and
yeah.
jump rope, but like double unders, like 2 times every time you jump and just things. It's like playtime when you're a kid. And I'm having
Uh-huh.
so anyway,
Yes.
I
Fun
digress.
is the key word, ladies, who
Yeah.
are listening and watching. Fun. Okay. So, Liz, you moved to an entirely different city in a whole nother part of the state. Please tell us how you did that, where you went, and what it's like.
Okay. Oh my gosh, it's such a good question. Okay, so um the year before this divorce and everything happened, I had made a little personal commitment to ride my bike everywhere that I physically could instead of taking my car. We had a ton of construction in our town, and it was easier, frankly, to bike than it was to drive because you kept getting, running into all these detours and whatever. And so I biked like crazy miles. And I had so much fun doing it, just being outside, even when it rained, it was just fun. So, as Danny tells me this, you need to go on an adventure. I was thinking, oh, where am I going to go? Like, I have one son that lives in Nashville, and my daughter lives in DC, and then my other son lives up in the Upper Peninsula. And I'm like, I don't want to be too close. I love Michigan. So I just Googled most bikeable towns in Michigan because I was like, you know what? I had so much fun biking everywhere. It just made me feel good. If I had to go somewhere, okay, I needed an extra 10 minutes to ride on my bike, but when I got there, I was so much happier. So imagine if I could live in a place that I could bike everywhere instead of driving my car, I'd feel so much better. This would be way more fun. So I Googled most bikeable towns in Michigan, and number one was Traverse City. Number two was Ann Arbor. So I thought about both of those and I was like, you know what? I have never gone and lived like right next to the beach. I lived in Chicago, a few blocks from the beach, but that was more city than beach. And I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I love camping. It just kind of fit. So I went and visited a friend that lived in Traverse City. And I was like, this just feels right. This is perfect. I'm
Yes.
going to rent an apartment. Um, so I was kind of having anxiety over the cost of everything. Apartments are really expensive. Like it's expensive to go and rent a place. But then I decided there was this building that's a block from Grand Traverse Bay. It's this bougie new building that was built. And I met this woman as I was looking at the apartment. She was walking out of the apartment with her dog. I have two dogs. And I was like, excuse me, do you live here? And she said, yes. Oh my gosh, I just moved here from Boston. I'm going through a divorce and I'm having so much fun. I can walk everywhere. And so she and I became fast friends. And she said to me, which this just, I don't know, this is hung on. She said, it's Barbie's dream house. I live in Barbie's dream house. And that's exactly what my apartment is. It's Barbie's dream house. It's everything that I want. It's tiny. It's a one-bedroom place. I can get to everything I need in like 10 steps. And it's just really nice. It's great. I
That
don't
is
need all this stuff,
awesome.
the big house,
Awesome.
all that. Yeah. So
You had that. You had that. So, Liz, let's talk about the rewards that await on the other side of safe because you are reaping the rewards big time. Can you talk about your life now?
you know, it's it's a really good thing to dive into. I oh The I think initially I was in shock, like kind of in culture shock, and I felt like I was on vacation. And the first week or so, and then I started kind of having mom anxiety about am I doing right for my kids, right? And I started working with a therapist and realizing that this life, it's about me now. It's not about them
Yes.
at
Yes.
all
Yes.
anymore.
Yes. Can you say that
And
again?
exactly, it's totally about me. And they are geared up and said, okay, so my daughter's 28. I have a 26-year-old and a 23-year-old. So they are grown, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But as a mom, you still feel responsibility. So I worked with a therapist to kind of help me try to let go of some of that stuff, right? They are resourceful, they are wise, they are fine. I need to just do me and
Right.
not worry about this, right?
Hmm.
So, what's on the other side?
Yeah.
I Traverse City is wonderful. I go to the beach all the time during the summertime, during the wintertime. I take my dogs on cool walks constantly. I actually started dating and I decided, okay, so I have another quote, fortune favors the bold. Um,
Yes.
and I've realized that every time in my life that I made bold choices, really good shit happened, like really good stuff.
Woo!
And so uh, I I decided to jump in and like try online dating. And my divorce was not final yet. It was kind of we were going through the divorce, which may have been too early for some people. But I was like, you know what? I love people so much, and I really would like to have go on dates and just have some fun and not,
Yes.
feel like I've got to have some sort of timeline that I've got to follow or
Right.
whatever. So I worked on a profile. I posted some pictures. I um, put it up there, and I was shocked. I got all of these messages, and I started messaging people back. And there's so there's a dating coach on Instagram. It's called A Little Nudge. She's fabulous. And my trainer at the gym told me about this dating coach. And basically, I jumped on her Instagram and I just looked at all of her stuff on how to build a profile and, kind of how to manage through like meet for coffee, don't go out to dinner. And all the questions people ask, and there's fabulous information there. And so I dug into that site, and basically, she said, don't spend all this time messaging on the app, schedule a date for coffee. And so I went on all these dates and met all these different guys, and I had so much fun talking to them. I was so thankful that I had her wisdom through this site because she said, you don't want to keep these people around as your friend group, right? If you're going on a date, like I just love people, and it's very easy for me to say, oh, well, I don't want to date him, but I'd like to kind of keep him around. He's really fun. He likes to cycle, or he likes to,
Hmm.
surf, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But her advice was like, hey, they're dating for a reason, so don't cross the line with that and just be frank with people. And so I went on dates and was like, this isn't the right fit, but I think you're a great person. And
Nice.
um, and then I met somebody that I'm having so much fun with. He
Yes.
is just a fabulous partner
Yeah.
and uh, is adventurous, is silly, um, likes to do all the same kinds of things that I like to do. And
Yes.
just, yeah, so I'm just having a lot of fun.
Liz, that is so phenomenal. I think you can serve as such a wonderful example to other women to break out of that safe comfort zone, which is really a trap, and find the courage to step out and relieve relationships or situations or jobs that are no longer allowing them to feel fulfilled and take action to create that best life. And moving is bold. Going on dating apps after being married for 32 years is bold. Just having the confidence and power to do what you're doing is very bold, and you're being richly rewarded as a result. So I just want to cheer you on. Um,
Thank
and
you.
then,
Thank you.
yes,
You're right,
yes,
though. It
yes,
is a
yes.
trap. It's Safety is a trap. And it's so easy to go on with life living in that it's like a sand trap and you just
Hmm.
keep kind of digging yourself in deeper and you don't even realize what
Hmm.
the bold can bring you. I don't know. As I started to unpack all of this, I realized in my life, all of the bold choices that I made, um, and there weren't a ton of them, but there were some before this, they
Hmm.
all brought like these amazing things in my life, amazing things. And
Yeah.
communicating when it was really uncomfortable with people, when it was embarrassing sometimes, it just really brought some good stuff.
Yes, and yes, and describe the feeling that I know we share is feeling so alive and so excited and so overjoyed and just loving every day. What does that feel like to you?
It's waking up in peace. It's not, I used to wake up in a panic of all the things that, I felt like I wasn't fulfilling and in life. And not the fun things, but the requirement things. And I've now figured out what's really required and what's not required. And
Mm.
that's been a big piece too. Um, so
So
many,
did therapy help you with that, Liz?
yeah, it helped me a lot.
Uh-huh.
It really did.
Can you talk about the benefits of therapy, especially after you've gone through that traditional trajectory of life and then figuring out, well, what now? Who am I? What do I want? And how do I get it?
Yeah. Elizabeth, one of the things I would have these emotions, like I'd have an emotion of maybe, I desperately want, I don't know, let's say to be with my son. And I miss him so much and I'm feeling really um, you know, hurt about something. And the therapist helped me unpack and realize that that hurt actually that feeling of pain wasn't coming from missing him. It was coming from realizing that change was occurring in our relationship and that change is necessary to get through all these phases, right? And what was great when someone's a little kid, you don't want that to perseverate until your son is 22, right? You want them to be
Right.
independent souls and you want, like, that's logical. But then the gap between 22 and 26, there are also some really big changes that happen there. And sometimes the emotion that you feel isn't actually the tag that you put on it. It's not the
Mm,
label of, I just want him to want to spend time with me. It's not that. It's that emotion that I was feeling. It's actually the transition in life. And that's
yes.
okay. And owning that and recognizing that. Like, she really helped me uncover all of those things that I
Yeah.
was putting in one bucket and it actually belonged in another bucket. And it was much easier to work through it when it was in another bucket.
Profound. Yeah, I went through that too, Liz. That is not easy at all, at all. And I talked to my therapist about it and I worked through it. And it's so thank you for sharing that because any mom, we want our kids to grow up and thrive, but there's a sort of detachment that we just have to allow. And it's a lot. Like it's
It's
a
a
lot.
lot, but it's also we have to let that go to have the adult relationship that becomes so enriching and wonderful and beautiful to
Yeah.
allow that to become. If we hold on
Yes.
to this, then this never happens. And so you're left in the
Right.
shit. I mean, you're really left in, you've got,
Right.
and and that doesn't bring anyone any joy. And you don't end up having a great relationship with your kid as a result.
Right. You said something really powerful and it was let go. So, what's your advice to women to let go of the safety zone, the fears, the anxieties, the unknown, and just move forward boldly?
Well, I think that if you look back in your life at the things that were the most impactful, the most beautiful in your life, you really had to make some pretty scary decisions to get to that place. I know when I kind of unpack things for my life, I had to make some bold moves to let go of something. And then this beautiful thing developed.
Huh?
And a lot of times we look at that act as it's going to be cold, it's going to be dark, it's going to be scary, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be embarrassing, it's going to be too difficult. I don't know if I can lift that. I don't know if I can get through that, but maybe I'll be bad at it. Maybe I'll be really bad at it. And then what will happen? Those are the kinds of emotions we have, right? But
Hmm.
then if you look at those beautiful things that have happened in your life, you had to get through all of that for the beautiful thing to happen. So the sooner you do it,
Yes.
the sooner you rip off the Band-Aid and just jump in and do it,
Yes.
the better, the sooner you get to the other side, the easier it is. The, you know, I I, I heard this quote. It was, you know, faith and fear both require that you believe in the same thing. It's something that you cannot see. And
Wow, that's powerful.
you choose which
Hmm.
to believe in, fear
Hmm.
or faith.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's
yes,
like,
yes.
wow, that was really profound for me that um,
Hmm.
I get to pick this. And if I'm going to believe in something, am I going to believe in this the shit, the bad stuff or the good
Right.
stuff, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So, Liz, can you please talk to women about the need to not believe the hype that if you've done all these things, you've had all these experiences, you've reached a certain age, that you just cannot enjoy romance or sex or all the fun adventure, um, and that they might be thinking it's just over for them. What's your advice?
Huh. I thought it was over for me. And I really did. Um, I have discovered that it's actually better than it's ever been in my whole life because I know me. I know myself. I'm really, I mean, I'm really comfortable like calling things how they are. Just like going on those dates, right? I went out with 5 different guys and I was like, one of the guys, since we were saying goodbye, he grabbed me and he kissed me. And I'm sure he thought it was some big romantic gesture, but I was like, dude, I'm sorry. And
I love it.
that I like hug everyone and I'm very loving, but that was just like over the line. I hadn't kissed
Hmm.
anyone except for my husband. Like, and dude, this dude's gonna steal my first kiss, right?
Yuck.
Yuck. But I know myself now, where when I was 22, this guy that stole my first kiss was super successful, owned a company, had hundreds of acres up north, was handsome, rode a motorcycle, was like super adventurous, hiked in the Antarctic, like did all the kinds of things that it was a pilot, did all the kinds of things that I would on paper be like, wow. But that one move, I was like, nope. But as a 22-year-old, I
Right.
got to tell you, I would have said, oh, well, he's a maybe. I'll go out with him again. I'll whatever. I know me now. And I know he's not the one. Bye.
Excellent. I love that. Love that. So, can you talk about the excitement of knowing yourself, like really getting to know who you are and loving who you are?
Yeah, I think it's just exploration. Um,
Uh-huh.
and trying things that you haven't, done before.
Hmm.
And this is kind of silly, but I went skinny dipping this past fall.
Woo!
And you know what?
Fun.
That skinny dipping is better than swimming in a swimsuit because
Why?
when after you okay, it's freeze. It was November, I think, when I went
Oh
skinny
my
dipping
God.
in the Grand Traverse
Uh,
Bay. I mean, it was one of those warm days, but the water was really cold. But here's what happens when you swim in a swimsuit, then you have a wet swimsuit on and you have to get home and you've got like I've got all this hair and my hair and then my swimsuit. No, when you go skinny dipping, you come out of the water, you dry off and you put on your warm clothes. It's wonderful.
Ooh, nice.
What? I missed out on all these cool opportunities to go skinny dipping in my life. But yeah,
Wow. Wow, that is so fun. I love it.
that's not what your
That,
question was. It was about fun things to do, exploring.
oh, the thrill of getting to know yourself and loving who you are and knowing yourself like on a whole new level.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's just trying crazy things and not being
Hmm.
afraid to be embarrassed or to not enjoy something. It's really funny. As I look at and I'm making choices about like something to do, I'm like, oh, I might not like that, whatever. But you don't know until you try. And actually, there really hasn't been anything I haven't enjoyed. So I just keep trying. Did you see that movie, Yes Man?
No.
It's a Jim Carrey movie, and he's forced to say yes to everything. He
Oh,
goes to some, yeah, but they're silly things that, and you don't realize all the choices in life that you make and you say just no to little things, and then what they blossom into big things. Um, and not that you should say yes to things that aren't right, but I started saying yes to a lot more, and
uh-huh.
it's been a lot of fun.
That is awesome, Liz. That is awesome. One thing I want to revisit is what you said when you had the corporate job and the family and the husband and the life, you felt that you were here, but you could have been way up here in terms of your fulfillment and impact on the world. So what are you doing now to fulfill that urge?
Yeah. Well, I reached out to a former friend who works with startup companies in the state of Michigan. And I'm starting to do some consulting work
Oh,
in
nice.
yeah, with these businesses that are just getting started in the space that I have expertise. And I've uncovered some really cool businesses that have so much potential here in Michigan. And I get to
Hmm.
help them kind of get their feet under them and make basically working in business development stuff. So it's using my professional skills and getting to pick the missions that I want to jump on board with and help
Hmm.
with. And it's not a long-term commitment. I get to try this out for a while and help them, and then I get to transition to something else. So
Nice, 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 nice. If anybody out there watching or listening is wondering, Liz, you retired from the corporate position, correct?
yeah, yeah, I did 2 years ago.
So that gave you the
So
freedom to move and now explore the consulting, which is going to open a whole new avenue of, opportunity and fulfillment for you, feeling like you're really making a difference.
yeah, Elizabeth, it's funny that you bring that up. I really felt I put myself in this box, right? Feeling responsible for everyone, feeling, that I needed to make the safe choices. And I looked at other opportunities, but they all seemed like big risks, right? And that I wasn't just risking myself, I was risking things for my whole family. I had kids in college, all of this stuff. So I didn't take some of those big risks. And
Hmm.
so I kind of painted myself into a little bit of a corner because it became, um, I wasn't able to stretch and grow because I kept myself there. I made the choice to stay in that place because I didn't want to take the risk, right? And so then I decided, I was like, well, if I save enough money, I can retire. And I I had been saving for retirement from when I was 22. I mean, that's just my rules, right? But that excel like the last 10 years, because I was really frustrated and unhappy, I was like, I've got to do this myself. If I want to get out of this, I've got to make it so I can financially do it. So I became like, just kind of crazy about figuring out how I could retire and all of that stuff. When in actuality, looking back, I didn't need to do that. I just needed to make the bold choices with my career.
Wow.
And I made those bold choices with my career, the big scary choices. I didn't need to, work and get retirement done and all of that. I professionally would have been very fulfilled and it would have been just fine. I was just scared. I was scared.
Hmm.
I was scared to let go. And
Hmm.
so now I'm doing it from a place of, yeah, I'm retired, but there's something missing. I want to contribute. So
Hmm.
anyway,
Hmm.
I guess the message is, if you feel like you're painted into a corner, you're the person that's painting yourself into that corner. You just need to make some
Ooh.
bold choices. Don't be afraid to do it. It'll bring good stuff. It really will.
So fear is our worst enemy. Can you talk about how a woman can break free of that fear?
Yeah, I think it's by action.
Yes.
Um, Everything in life. So Henry Ford, there's this quote that I've always loved: whether you can or you can't, I'm going to screw this up a little bit, but you're right. Whether you believe you can or you believe you cannot, you're right. And
Yes.
so if all you're thinking about is fear, then you're going to be right. That's the can't choice. You have to believe you can. And there's a book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And
Yes, by
you read
Dr.
that?
Joseph Campbell.
Yes,
No,
exactly. And
is that
so, I'm sorry?
no, it might be the power of positive thinking I'm mixing up, but I hope I got it right. But I know the
Yeah,
book. I have it on my shelf.
I don't remember the author, to be frank. It
Yeah.
was written a long time ago, maybe in the
Yeah.
60s, 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It seems kind of kitschy when you read it, but it's very, very, very true, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
believe, you can. And
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
all you're thinking about is fear and worry, guess what? That's can't.
Right. Right. Okay, so for the next however many years you have left, do you have a strategy, a plan? I mean, do you feel like the clock is ticking and there's an urgency to just be so fulfilled every day?
No, I was planned, methodical, always had 12 goals, always, no, I've let go of all of that. It sounds terrible, but I'm kind of, when I feel that something is pulling me in, I jump. And if I am not feeling like it's pulling me in and it's not, then I'm really trusting myself. And I think sometimes when I would set goals and then I'd be constantly trying to make all the Jenga pieces not tumble.
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is just a place that's, um, I feel like I'm getting to a much better world by
Oh,
allowing things to pull me in and to trust my instinct. And I wasn't my authentic self for a very long time because I was not trusting my instinct. My instincts were telling me that the marriage wasn't good and I needed to move on, but I wasn't allowing myself to let that happen because it didn't fit within the norm, the goals of what I thought should be. And
yes.
it took
Yes.
one of those rules to be broken, which is so stupid. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. Wow, that is so powerful. I know that women watching and listening are going to glean confidence and courage from you, Liz, because you just exude that energy and when you and I first, you're working on a book.
I am.
And so when you and I talked about your book a few years ago and we reconnected after not seeing each other since high school, I was just so amazed at you were still married at the time. And then fast forward a little while, and then you're in Traverse City and you were just like whoosh, glowing on the Zoom screen. I'm like, what did you do? This is amazing. So that's why I wanted to interview you, Liz, because you exemplify goddess power, which is all about loving yourself. And my motto is live bigger, better, and bolder to manifest your heart's wildest desires. That's in my books. And that's the motto of my whole goddess mission. And the word bold, you kept saying bigger, better, and bolder. We all know we can, but we're so scared and stuck, and it's toxic. And so,
We
ladies,
we are the only ones that hold ourselves back. It isn't,
right,
we think
right,
it's all these other things. I thought it was so many other things. It was
right.
I'm the one that did it.
Yes. But I did the same thing for a long time and it was terrible. And the way I broke free of it was just I just got so angry and so frustrated like I'm the person that has imposed these barriers on myself and then I had to figure out what they were and I didn't know what they were. And that's when therapy helped me, Liz, break free. First of all, identify what they are, and so I recommend anybody listening, please get therapy and explore all your issues, and it will help you release and heal and find new strategies for the way you think, which will affect how you behave, which will affect your life. And I'm telling you, I've never felt better in my life. And Liz, it sounds like you can say the same thing.
I can totally say the same thing. Actually,
Hmm.
just a little
Hmm.
tip for people. So I had Doctor on Demand with my past insurance, and you can get therapy with Doctor on Demand. And Doctor on Demand was free with my insurance.
Wow.
And I only had insurance for like another month when I figured this out, but I hope no insurance companies are listening to this, but I was having a therapy session every single day, 5 days a week for a month. Some days I was doing 2 and 3 hours because I was like, wait, this is free.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
and there's some great
Wow.
therapists on Doctor on Demand, or I don't know about the other ones, Teledoc. I was using Doctor on Demand, but I had this, it was the best therapist I'd ever worked with. She was amazing. And yeah, and it was all free. So I had like, I don't know, hundreds of hours of therapy probably. I packed it all
Oh
into
my
a
gosh,
month.
that's like a crash course in self. That's
It was.
awesome.
It really was. I sat there. I would she'd meet with me at 7 in the morning, be 7 in the morning, 7 to 8, 7 to 10 sometimes. And it was fabulous. It was really fabulous. So look into
That's
that.
amazing. Wow, Liz, that's so cool. Okay, so any last words for the women out there who want to pretty much reinvent themselves and create a whole new self in life?
Number one, be really comfortable with your authentic self. Don't doubt it.
Mm. Hmm.
Don't don't be afraid that you're going to be embarrassed or you're going to say something stupid or, you know, if your gut is pulling you somewhere, if it's pulling you to say something, you say it. Do it. Your authentic self is the best version of you that you can bring to your friends, to people you meet, to your job, everything. Number two, communicate. Don't hesitate. If you feel like you're going to, oh, I don't know if this is too harsh. I don't know if this is embarrassing. I don't know. When I look back at my life, the times that I communicated or my family members communicated at times that it was the most difficult, those are the times, those are like the bright spots that become awesome change, just really that bring the good stuff. So if it's going to be tough to communicate, freaking do it. Like do it because know that there's gold on the other side. There really is.
Ooh, gold on the
Um,
other side.
yeah. And I guess the last one is fortune favors the bold. Um,
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
really, really, really does. And so be bold and don't, you're going to be scared, but do it with fear. You can choose to believe in the fear, or you can choose to believe in faith and pick the can do, pick the positive. Don't pick the negative. Uh,
Hmm. Oh
go
my gosh, Liz, this is so phenomenal. Thank you for sharing your story, your insights, your tips. I'm so excited for you and your future and your present. And you're truly giving a gift to yourself by all that you've been doing and continue to do. So I wish you the absolute best. And I'm so grateful that you joined me here on the Goddess Power Show.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful
You're
for me. It's given me more than anyone else. So I
Mhm.
appreciate it. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. All of you watching or listening, please share this with the women in your life to give them the courage to make bold moves, to live bigger, better, and bolder, and manifest their wildest desires. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, creator of the Goddess Power Show, and I wish you the best in all that you do. And remember, Goddess, you can do it because you have the power.